So my data project is about how I listen to music, and it's based on my Apple Music account, which I started in July 2016, and I've had it for about 4 years. And the aim of the project is pretty much just to find interesting insights about the songs and how I listen to them. So I'm going to go over two data sets. The first is my library data, and then I'm also going to go over how I actually listen to the songs rather than just facts about the songs. So this is just the library data. It's got some pretty interesting stuff like the artist, the album, the genre, and a bunch of other interesting stuff that we're going to work with. So we'll get started on the library data. And to get a general sense of it, we can just look at the genre. How do I actually listen to my music? So there's a pretty clear outlier here. I listen to a lot of hip hop and rap, and then just a little bit of everything else. I sort of dabble in everything. But how do I listen to them? So it's okay for me to have those songs in my library, but do I actually listen to them the same way? Well, pretty much the exact same distribution, almost exactly. So I still listen to lots of hip hop and rap. So I listen to my library pretty much the exact way it's set up. What about year of release? We can see that I mainly listen to pretty current music based on the songs in my library. And then I've got a couple that span back to 1950 and 1960. So we can also see how that matches up with the date that I've added those to my library. So we've got release date here and date added to library on the bottom. And we can see that because of the linear correlation here, I'm listening to music as it's being released. But then we've got some linear outliers down here where in a short amount of time, I add a bunch of old songs that span back. And we can actually confirm that by looking at the volume. So you can see that those pretty much line up. So we can also have a look at what about how those songs are arranged. Are they in singles? Are they albums? Are they EPs? So I listen to a lot of singles pretty much. This is the song, the track number on the song's album. So if it's one, then it's a single. And pretty much from this, we can see that I listen to a lot of albums, a lot of singles, and a couple of EPs where the songs are only 6 or 7 and they're not full projects. What about features? Well, a quarter have features in them and 3/4 don't. I thought that was quite surprising. Usually not that many songs have features in them. So we can look at duration of songs. Do I have a lot of rock songs with long durations or just usual pop songs which are 3 to 4 minutes? Well, it's a normal distribution, which is what I was expecting. But you can see that there are some outliers at 12 and 14 minutes, and there are some pretty short songs. So we can have a look at them. I've got some songs that are about 14 minutes long, which is pretty surprising, but I found that these were songs that were tributes and thank yous that people do on their albums. And we can also see the short songs. I've got a song that's 4.8 seconds long, and it's an intro song. And a lot of these are skits and scenes that are short that people put in their albums for the story. So we can have a look at my listening data now.
1 minute.
So not all the songs I've listened to fully, so I had to sort them by the ones that I've actually listened to fully. So how do I listen to the genre by a year? Well, I still listen to a lot of hip hop and rap, but you can see that it actually decreases. So we can have a look at by hour as well. This is pretty standard. I don't listen to much in the middle of the night, and it gradually decreases throughout the day. But what about by year? Well, it looks like I listened to a lot in 2018 and 19, but because 2020 isn't over yet, it's averaged over the year, so it looks like I haven't listened to much. Well, we could also look at the skips. It's pretty much the same distribution, but I have a lot in 2020 as well.
Okay, that's your time. So just wrap it up.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's pretty much my time.
All right. I like the grumpy finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thoughts, Phoebe, Scarlett?
Yeah, it was interesting to see the Spotify data set. I didn't even know that they had a data set, so that's good to know. It would have been nice to see some of the data normalized in some cases. So, for like say skipping the song, you mentioned that during that 2018 stage, that was when you were listening to the most amount of music, and it was also when you had the highest amount of skips.
Yeah.
In that case, that would be a situation where normalizing it might be helpful so that you know if that was actually an outlier or if it was considered normal considering the amount of music that you were listening to at the time. But
Yeah, definitely.
apart from that, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting exploration. I really like that you kind of took the whole look at your data and then ask questions as the questions come up thing quite seriously. You sort of looked at things like, oh, this is weird, and then investigated that. And you could see that throughout the term that you were actually actively doing that, which was great. I think there's a lot more in there that you probably wanted to get out, but just ended up with sort of time constraints.
Yeah.
But in general, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah,
did you have any thoughts, Ron? Did you have any thoughts, Phoebe?
I agree with Scarlett. I think it might have been good to see some of the data normalized. I think that might have given some like further insights into your like listening and music things. I think it was really good to see that you'd manipulated the data and that what a lot of people potentially would have expected did come out, but then there are a few things that were less expected, like the features. I think it was a really, really good insight to see the percentage of genres change over time. So to see that, yes, hip hop all the time had been your highest, but as it's got closer to 2020, it sort of dropped off since 2018.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really good insight. And maybe if you'd sort of gone into those a little bit more, we would have got a couple sort of more surprising observations, but I think you still manipulated the data well.